We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karane Shruniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshadhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Sushtovagum Sastanobihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuho Swasti na Indro Vriddashvaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastакshorarishtanimihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Mandukya Upanishad, we continue our study. This Upanishad teaches us directly our nature. Our nature is not this body. Our nature is not this mind. Our nature is not what we experience as the waking state. Our nature is not what we are in the dream state. Our nature is not what we are in the sleep state. Our nature is Turiyam, pure consciousness, unaffected by the three states. This is the essence of Mandukya Upanishad. There are two steps in realization. Whenever you do Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, you must remember the two steps in spiritual study. The first step is Atma Anatma Viveka. Very clear-cut understanding of what Atma is and what Anatma is. In every Upanishad, this is the first step undertaken by the text. Here, the method is Avastatraya Viveka. All of us experience three states of consciousness. I am experiencing every day a waking state in which I see my body, the gross body. I know my emotions. And through this body, I am experiencing the world outside. This is our gross waking state. This is the bulk of our experiences. Then we have a very different type of experience in our sleep. We go to sleep every night. We experience that we don't know anything in sleep. We have a good rest. That's all we think. And then we go into dream from our sleep state. The dream experience for all of us is totally different. It is nothing to do with this world of waking. We experience our own vasanas, our impressions which we have gathered, and which is there in the karana sharira. So these vasanas, impressions, are experienced by us. That is what we call it as dream state. So the waking, dream, sleep These are three states equally experienced by all of us. Or there is no doubt about it, and it's very common. What this Upanishad is trying to teach us is that there is a reality which we are not aware of, which is beyond these three states. And that is the viveka. That is the discrimination which we have to understand. I have to learn to drop the three states as the states of the mind. Very important step. Once I have done that, that completes the Atma Anatma Viveka. So what I understand in the end of the first step is these three states belong to the mind. It is created by Ishvara, projected by Ishvara. I have no control on the three states. So there is one creator of the three states, which is Ishvara. I am only a part in this phenomena of the three states. I learned to drop the identification with the three states as my real nature. First step is complete. The second step is called as Sarvaatma Bhava. This is a very, very important step without which there is no moksha. There is no liberation. Sarvaatma Bhava is understood when we understand the fifth and the sixth mantra of this Upanishad. Very important step. Sarvaatma Bhava means I am in my sleep state, I merge with Ishvara. The karana shariram merges with karana prapansha. The karana prapancha is also called as antaryami. It is called as Ishvara. It is called as mula avidya. There are different names given to this ultimate sleep stage in which I merge with the karana prapancha. That means at the karana prapancha level, there is no difference between me and Ishvara. This is called as Sarva Atma Bhava. This is a very important step before the realization of the real nature. Up to this is the procedure of Atma and Atma Viveka and Sarva Atma Bhava. Sarva Atma Bhava means the entire creation is in an undifferentiated form, unmanifest form in the karana prapancha. The causal body, which we call it as the Ishvara, which we call it as unmanifest. It cannot be seen by the eyes. It cannot be known by the ears. It is not manifest to the sense organs. Then, once this is completed, then we go to the final step of going beyond the unmanifest condition. That unmanifest, beyond the unmanifest condition is the final realization. That is my swarupam, that is my nature. And that is called as Turiyam. So it is a step-by-step process of understanding our own nature, which is what is our study in Mandukya Upanishad. There are many, many things which are analyzed in this Upanishad. After the 12 mantras, the first 7 mantras are the gist of the Upanishad. The next 5 mantras talk about how to practice a upasana, a meditation, in order to realize the ultimate nature as Turiyam. So this is the picture of Mandukya Upanishad. The broad scheme of in which this whole Upanishad is presented. We have seen that in the first 2 mantras itself, we have seen that the real nature is timeless, spaceless. Beyond time and beyond space is my real nature. Very important point in the first 2 mantras. In the third, fourth, and fifth, in the third, we have seen the waking state. What is the waking state? In the fourth mantra, we have seen what is the dream state. In the fifth mantra, we are seeing what is the sleep state. So right now, we are in the middle of understanding the sleep state. This is where we stopped last week. So now we go back to our study where we stopped. So we have seen the description of the description of our sleep state, and in this state everything resolves. We have seen that it is a state of a mass of consciousness which is called as prajnana ghanaha. Very important point. See, what happens is we take this entire waking state as the only state, and then we are not aware what happens in sleep. So this Upanishad clearly tries to analyze the sleep state and says that the consciousness of the world, which is a differentiated consciousness, becomes undifferentiated consciousness in sleep state. Very important distinction we must remember. In order to come to the ultimate truth, this is an extremely important point, that the Dvaita experiences, this is where Shankaracharya and he scores in terms of understanding this Upanishad. Very clearly, it establishes that our real nature is Advaitam, non-dual, and it is Ekam. That means we are one. In our ultimate nature, not in the waking state, not what we experience in our waking state of duality. This is what we experience is a sort of an illusion. Underlying this illusion is oneness. That oneness is called as consciousness. That oneness is called as Turiyam in this Upanishad. In the state of sleep, it is experience of Ananda, Anandamaya Bhuk. This is another point we must remember. All of us experience happiness, joy in our sleep. This happiness is a kosha. It is a covering. It is a reflection of the original consciousness in the karana sharira. See, we have three bodies. Physical body, the consciousness reflects in the physical body. When that happens, we experience the waking state. Gross body, gross world. The same consciousness gets reflected in the subtle body. It is called as the dream state. We experience the subtle prapansha, sukshma prapancha and sukshma sharira. In the third stage, it is the karana shariram and the reflection of consciousness in the karana shariram together with the karana prapancha. So what is the karana prapancha? That is where the equation comes with Ishvara. I am one with the Ishvara principle at the third level. At this level of sleep, my nature, you see, we are talking about my nature of this karana shariram is one with the nature of karana shariram of Ishvara. This is where the equality, this is where the Upanishad equates the Jiva with Paramatma. So there are many Upanishads which describe this state of oneness in the sleep state. I will go through these verses. There are 13 verses. I have already got them in these notes. I have prepared it. It is there. I will share with you at the end of the presentation of the 12 mantras so that we don't miss the continuity of the text. So there are Upanishads like Prashno Upanishad, Vrdanik Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, they all, Kaivalya Upanishad, they all tell us that the Jiva goes from it keeps on traveling between the three states. Waking state, dream state, sleep state. Waking state, dream state, sleep state. Again, waking state, dream state, sleep state. This is what happens to us for the reflection. And the reflections are given names: waker I, dreamer I, sleeper I. Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna. These are the three names given to me when I am in the three states. Here it is I identified with the body, individual sharirams. Gross body, subtle body, causal body. So this is what we are analyzing. In my sleep state, I am the experiencer of the karana shariram, the causal body. That experience does not change. Whenever we go to sleep, right in the middle of the class, if you go to sleep, you will enjoy the same joy. Effortless. There is no disturbances at all in the sleep state. I'm talking about deep sleep state, not the dream state. So there is no disturbances of the waking. Neither you are a father, neither you are a brother, neither you are a wife. You have dropped your identifications with all the roles. Very natural for all of us. This is how we should understand this creation. It is just not what I experience in the waking state and that's it. You know, most of us, without the knowledge of the Mandukya Upanishad, will conclude that the waking state is real. Whatever happens to me in the waking state is all that is the whole me. This is our normal conclusion when we don't have the study of the Upanishads. Very important point given by Shankaracharya about the sleep state is he says that this sleep state is a gateway for the knowledge of the waking, and it is for the knowledge of the dream state. That means what? This sleep state is the cause from where the effect of the sleep state, the product of the sleep state comes up, which is called as the waking and dream. So what we understand from this is our entire waking state goes into an undifferentiated condition, and that state is called as the sleep state. Our dream state, which is full of experiences, goes into an undifferentiated state, which is the sleep state. And there is a bigger picture which is waiting for us when we cross this sleep state and try to ask this question, who am I? Very, very big question. The inquiry to what we are happens when we have crossed this important step of identifying each state and dropping it one by one. Finally, where do we come? We come to this sleep state. That is where we stopped last week. So prajna, which is the sleep state, is with reference to the total mind, with reference to the total karana shariram, it is called as omniscient Ishvara, because there is someone or some principle which controls this body. This body of ours is not an independently existing phenomenon. It depends on the totality. My mind is a part, is a small part of a total mind of the waking state. There is a total mind which is there. So in the vision of the Upanishads, there is a cosmic person, there is a cosmic entity which is called as Ishvara. So with reference to the total mind, it is called as antaryami or Ishvara. With reference to the individual mind, it is called as Jiva. This distinction between Jiva and Ishvara must be very clear. It is not the religious meaning of Ishvara or God which we are referring here. In the religious sense, we say God is Shiva, God is Krishna, God is Rama, Devi. All that is a religious description of Saguna Ishvara. That we have to keep it separate. Here we are trying to go very deep into our own experiences at the consciousness level. It is not at the superficial level. So this Jiva, this prajna has knowledge of both the waking and dream. The knower is in potential condition. That means the waker is in a potential condition in the sleep state. So prajna includes the waker I and the dreamer I, but in what form? In potential, unmanifest condition. And this is what we call it as dormant condition. This is a very important point in the understanding of the Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad especially depends on this understanding of the unmanifest condition of the mind. The manifest condition of the mind is waking and dream. The unmanifest condition of the mind is sleep, what we experience in our sleep state. That's all. This is only three conditions of the mind itself. I must learn that I am the pure, unconditioned consciousness, not conditioned by the mind in the manifest form or the unmanifest form. Some people say, I don't experience any dream at all. It's possible, but not every day. Some days, maybe you don't dream. You just go to sleep and you wake up. That's it. There could be experiences. Maybe some of you can explain to me your own experiences. Whether do you experience dream daily? Do you experience dreams sometimes? Do you go to sleep? That means from waking, you go to sleep and then you dream and you come back to waking. Or you go to dream, from waking, you go to maybe dream directly. We don't know. Each one of you may have experiences of this different types of identifications of consciousness. So in dream, three entities are there. For example, I am one individual. There could be 40 other individuals or 20 other individuals in the dream. In the dream, you can have your father, your mother, you are having interactions which you never thought about having interactions, or you get married in dream. A brahmachari gets married in dream. He has got 5 children, and all those are all possible in a dream. And then in the dream world, you have a prapansha. You have you have a world, you have a river, you have a mountain. So all that is, there is a dreamer I, there is a dream world of objects, and there is a dream world of other beings. But the individual dreamer is different from the others. And when I wake up, what happens? I was not only a dreamer, but I realized the dream object and other individuals also was only my own projection. This is what we commonly experience. So the three entities become one entity on getting up. So the Swapna Adhikari, Abhimani, is not actually three entities, but it is one entity. But what happens in dream? In the dream, for the dreamer, it is a Jagrat Avastha. Very important point. On this particular point, there are thousands of pages written on it. And a lot of refutation happens. We must not have a partial. There are two ways to look at the dream. One way to look at is, in dream, as a dreamer, what is my experience? In waking, as a waker, what is my experience? Keep these two views. And then what you will arrive is a vision which is called as Drishti, Srishti, Vada. I'm just digressing a little bit, but I just want to give you a little a meaning, or just give you a vision which has been shared by Nischala Dasa in Vichara Sagara. And his whole thesis is based on this fundamental fact. Drishti means I see, the seer. I am seeing the world. The waker is seeing the world. If I am seeing the world exists. In that particular condition of the mind, there is one condition of mind, I experience the waking. In another condition of the mind, I experience the dream. Both are projections of one consciousness. This is how Nishala Dasa, a very, very great Acharya who existed about 150 years ago in North India, he concludes and says that one consciousness projects both this waking state and dream state. And that pure consciousness is our real nature. Drishti, Srishti, Vada. Drishti means I see the dream. I am a seer of the dream. I see the waking. When the waker is there, the waking world is there. When the dreamer is there, his own dream world is there. At the individual levels of the waking or dream, the world exists. And when that waker realizes that I am that pure consciousness, Turiyam, he has known his own nature, Swarupa. It is not the waking consciousness, it is not the dream consciousness, and it is not even the sleep consciousness. When the mind itself is not there, is in passive condition, in unmanifest. That's all. And he very beautifully puts this and says, follow this drishti, srishti, vada, this concept or this theory that when the consciousness, operate with my physical body and the mind, I experience the waking. When the consciousness, operates through the subtle body, which is the mind, alone, without the physical world, but at a subtle world, that is called as the dream. And when I'm not operating in these two instruments, it is the passive condition, it is the sleep. And who am I? I am the conscious principle. I am the consciousness, the knower. The knower of the waking, the knower of the dream, the knower of the sleep state, the sakshi, which is not at all affected by anything happening in these three states. If I know this, I am a free person. I am not identified with the mind and neither the gross body, neither the subtle body, neither the causal body. I am Turiya Atman. Very beautiful analysis, a very clear mind. Many people have difficulty in understanding the Mandukya Upanishad. But if you know the methodology, like I said earlier, Atma, Anatma, Viveka, Sarvaatma Bhava, two methods. Step 1, step 2, and then using this Drishti, Srishti, Vada. Combine all three of them, you are already in your nature. You already have finished this Upanishad. You already know your true nature is pure consciousness. Without any identifications, without any conditionings. That is your true nature. So let's go forward now. Three entities are there in dream: individual dreamer, Swapna Abhimani, and Swapna Drishta. These are all ways of analyzing. But if you have understood the basics, these becomes very easy. So the dreamer is the Swapna Purusha. And the Purusha is there. Now he identifies and becomes the ego. Swapna Abhimani means he becomes identified with the dream mind. And then he experiences the total dream. And what is this swapna drishta? Drishta means the consciousness principle which is illumining the dream. That is the pure consciousness. So the pure consciousness is the light in which you see the dream, and when that pure consciousness identifies with the mind, it becomes the dreamer. The dreamer is the swapna purusha. We are analyzing this because we want the same thing happens in the waking also. When we do this analysis, then we should apply the same thing to the waking also. So in dream, I mistake as I am only a dreamer, the ego. I am not the entire dreamer, one entity in which all individuals also exist. That means in the dream, there are many individuals. Like in the waking, there are millions, 6 billion people, 6 billion jivas. There are so many jivas in the dream. When you experience the dream, we are talking about the dream as a dreamer. So one swapna abhimani, the one who identifies with the subtle body, in the same dream, there are other individuals also. Individual, total, and illuminator of the individual and total. This is what you should understand. There are 3 entities. The individual dreamer has no real existence. Why? Because as soon as you wake up, the dreamer goes away. And what happens to the other dream individuals who are existing with me in my dream? All of them, they go away. They don't continue in the dream. They all disappear. And what happens to the illuminator of the individual and the total? That illuminator continues. So what happens is there is only the illuminator of the dream who continues. That illuminator is the pure consciousness. Which is called as Turiyam. The next question we should ask is, that dreamer, does he independently exist, or does he depend on this light of consciousness? That pure existence, pure consciousness, Turiyam. The answer is, he depends. The dreamer depends on the light of consciousness and the existence. For the existence and consciousness, the dreamer depends on the pure consciousness. There is another factor. That pure consciousness is neither the individual and it is neither the totality of the dream world. If you have understood the dream experience, we can then explain the waking state also in the same way. So as of now, in the dream, I'm awake, then I go to sleep. This is what happens in our dream state. In the pure consciousness, there is neither waking, dream, or sleep. Neither there is a waker, dreamer, or sleeper. This is what we have to conclude. In our analysis of the 3 states, we say there is a waker, there is a dreamer, there is a sleeper. The three quarters are Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna. The three names are given only for me to arrive at the ultimate Turiyam, which is the fourth quarter. These names are only an aid. They only help me so that I can discriminate the waking, dream, and sleep states. The sleep state, from the totality of the entire sleep state, it is called as Ishvara or Antaryami. Antaryami means the principle by which this entire world which we see in the waking, dream, and sleep, there is one controller. That controller is Ishvara. That controller is that seed state of karana prapansha. This is how we analyze our entire experiences in life. To understand who we are, this is the methodology which we use. If we learn to use this methodology and each one of us applies this to himself or herself, thinks about the four quarters, you can and you will arrive at Turiyam. There is absolutely no doubt. This is the promise of Ishvara, the creator of this entire universe. We are used to thinking Ishvara is in a particular saguna form, but now we have to mature, we have to grow from that spiritual level to a higher level, to the consciousness level, to the awareness level. So I, the individual, is only one small sankalpa, a thought in the mind, in the total mind of Ishvara. And when I have surrendered my identity, that means if I drop my ego I, which is attached to the body and the mind, and through the body only I say my wife and my children, and all that my me and mine refers to the gross body. My wealth, my land, my shares, my property, my car, my house, all that is with reference to the gross body only. At the karana sharira level, everything merges into one undifferentiated consciousness. The total being with reference to the physical world is called as Virat. Again, the names are purely for us to realize that I am not any of these six names. These names are the conditionings on the pure self. If you understand this methodology, this Mandukya Upanishad is very easy to reach our core of the personality. I am 100% sure each one of you who's listening to these talks can understand the Turiya Atma, the pure consciousness. It's so simple. Drop the waking, drop the sleep, drop the dream. Ask the question, who am I? I am the light in which all these three states are coming and going, coming and going. Why do they come and go? Why this happens? Law of karma, cosmic cycle. In the cosmic cycle of karma, my life is insignificant. The moment I learn that this whole manifestation, unmanifestation of consciousness is taking place in this phenomena called as the universe, I learn how to drop my identifications And when I do this, the Purushartha which I started with, the spiritual journey, moksha Purushartha, which I wanted, I attain it. And I realize I am that pure consciousness. I was, I am, I will be. At the Ishvara level, Ishvara is the Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya Karanam of the universe. Very important definition of Ishvara. These are all the ways in which my mind learns. So, when this consciousness is referred to the entire physical world, it is called as Virat. When this consciousness, when it refers to the mind, all the subtle minds and all the subtle emotions, because ultimately it is the same one light. There is only one principle. There is only one Turiyam. There is only one pure existence, consciousness, Sat Chit Ananda principle. That is the life in me. We say prana is the life. When you come to Mandukya Upanishad, you realize that consciousness is the life in this body. The awareness principle, which is there throughout, it pervades my entire body and mind. That awareness consciousness principle is my real nature. When I look at the same consciousness with reference to the total mind, it is called as Hiranyagarbha. The same consciousness, when I look at the state of creation in the unmanifest form, it is called as Maya or Ishvara. Unmanifest form of the entire prapansha. See, what at the individual level, it is my own karana sharira. Karana shariram is basically accumulation of all the sanchita karmas. I have done some karmas in the past, that's all lying hidden in an unmanifest form, which I don't know, which I can't see. And then what happens in the waking state is some part of that sanchita karma is getting exhausted. And then again, I take another body, again a part goes off. This is how the world is explained by the Shastra. So the total karana prapancha of the entire, of all the jivas put together is what is called as the Ishvara. Or it is called as unmanifest, abhyakritam, undifferentiated form, maya, shakti. These are all the different names which are given to this karana prapancha. So with this, we close the 5th mantra. And now we will enter the 6th mantra. Esha sarveshvara, esha sarvajnaha, esha antaryami, esha yonihi, sarvasya prabha, vyapyayau hi bhutanam. Very important mantra of the entire 12 mantras of this Upanishad. If you can understand this mantra clearly, distinctly, you have understood this Upanishad. I regard this mantra as the key to open up the ultimate door to that pure consciousness. This Lord of all, Ishvara, now that you have the 6 names and you have understood the significance of the 6 names, the Ishvara is the knower of all. Very important point. Every word in this mantra is very important. If you understand this, then immediately you can easily understand the next mantra, which is the seventh, which is beyond the sleep state. What lies beyond the sleep state is that pure consciousness. Here we are talking of the knower of the sleep state. The knower of the sleep state is the inner controller. And it is the source of all. Karanam, jagat karanam brahman. This is where the saguna form of Ishvara starts. This is the seed state of the entire universe, consisting of waking, dream, and sleep. This is the description of Prajna Ishvara. Prajna Ishvara and Prajna Jiva. There are two. Prajna is the name given for the individual Jiva. Ishvara is the name given for the totality, the total Karana Sharira. He is the inner controller. He is the source of all. Very, very important. Whenever you are in meditation, especially if you are doing Mandukya type of meditation to reach your core of the personality, which I regard as the easiest form of meditation to know who you are. Among all the meditations, exercises which you do, you just follow this meditation of Mandukya and you will realize I am the pure self. Sarva Ishvara means the ruler, the Lord of the entire gross and subtle world. My prana, in this individual prana, is controlled by the samashti prana, the Vayu principle in the entire world. That controller of the Vayu principle in the world is called as Ishvara. The water principle in this body, it is not existing by itself. It is controlled by the Shakti, provided by this Ishvara. Ishvara is the Devata of all the Devatas. My eyes, they are governed by the Chakshu Devata. My ears are controlled by the Shrotriyan Devata. But all these Devatas, they are all controlled by one Ishvara. That is why we say that Ishvara means, this is a definition of Ishvara. At any time you want to know what is the definition of God, refer to this mantra. Inner controller, the source of all, very important, from which everything originates, to which everything dissolves. What a beautiful mantra. Everything in creation. That is what is Ishvara. When you go to pray to a temple when you go to pray in a temple, you look at, say, Lord Venkatajalapati, Lord Vishnu, or Lord Muruga. What you should remember is this point, that what I'm seeing in front of me is a very, very high, powerful entity. I'm only seeing a form, but my mind is able to go beyond that form to some power, external power. And that external power is what is being described here. Sarvajnana, omniscient. This is a very important word. It is used in almost all the Upanishads. Whenever you look at description of Ishvara in Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, in different Upanishads, it is this Sarvajna, Sarvashaktiman. These are two important depths. important factors given to the Ishvara. He is Sarva Shaktiman, means he is the cause of all which exists in the universe, and he is the cause of all what leaves this universe. The birth of a body, this Ishvara is the cause. When the body dies, this Ishvara is the cause. The cosmic will, you can never question. Accept it and lead a peaceful life. That's all. Why it happens, we don't know. That it happens, we know. Birth happens, death happens. Birth happens, death happens. Waking state comes, dream state comes, sleep state comes. Why it happens, I don't know. There is only one cause, which is Ishvara. Esha Antaryami. He is the Antaryami, means controller. He is not only the Lord, he is not only, why do we call it omniscient? Because if my little mind, tiny little mind can have the knowledge of my surroundings, there has to be a mind which knows everything in this world. It's automatic, it's logical that there is an extension of me. So so when I try to understand that extension is consciousness principle, awareness principle, I learn to drop my mind and I am with the total mind. This is how the realization happens. When the individual ego learns to drop its identifications, it merges with the Ishvara, which is the totality. Esha Yoni Sarvasya. He is the source. Yoni means source. Sarvasya. I was telling you about Sarvaatma Bhava. Now this is where the Sarvaatma Bhava comes in. The two steps I said in the beginning of the talk today. Atma Anatma Viveka, Sarvaatma Bhava. In the sixth mantra, we learn the Sarvaatma Bhava. In the third and the fourth, we learn what is viveka, Atma and Atma viveka, with reference to the states of our experiences. Prabhava Vapyaya hi bhutana. Prabha means origin. Vapyayo means dissolution, resolution. Now that is the place of all the beings. That is the place we all rest in our sleep. When I take those 13 mantras, which I told you, which I will do at the end of this 12 mantras, you will see this particular point is brought up there very often. There are many, many mantras which describe that there is a principle called Ishvara, from which the entire world comes, it exists, it goes back. Kaivalya Upanishad, the 19th mantra, we all know. Mayeva sakalam jatam, may sarvam pratishtitam, may sarvam layam yati. That mantra. Taittiriya Upanishad has also got so many, all the Upanishads have got these mantras. We feel we are far removed from our own nature and we feel strange. Why? Because we identify with the body, the gross body as the self. I can't appreciate, I don't understand, I can't accept. These are the three obstacles we all have. Because our knowledge which we have learned has not percolated into deep, into the depths of our understanding. But the moment we understand clearly, then we have absolutely no doubt we are that pure. I am the pure Atma. Right now, in the here and now, I can experience this Atma because it is the light in which I am listening. It is the light in which I am able to talk. You're able to function. The mind is thinking. All this is happening in that light. I drop the conditioning of the body and the mind. And then I remain as this pure awareness. It's a pure being. Today, I don't know this pure being. That is called as ignorance. That is the Maya. Sometimes it's this Maya is so powerful, even if after I go through this Mandukya Upanishad, again I get confused. If I get confused, don't worry. It is just the Maya Shakti, which is responsible for that confusion. Like in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14 and chapter 18, the Lord tells us, learn to drop the moods of the mind as your own nature. Gunatita condition. I am none of the gunas. I am neither sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. They all belong to the mind. I am gunatita atma. I am kshetrajnaha. I am the knower principle. I am the Turiyam. All this study which we are learning, they're all meant for us to go close our eyes and then we go deep into our own mind to understand our real nature. Katobhashyam, Upanishadic logic, the teacher proves, by Upanishadic logic, the teacher proves that you are not the Jiva, but Brahman. Brahman means it is just another name. For that Turiyam, for that pure consciousness. See, as nobody has told us that we are the body, but still we accept that we are the body. Here we have to correct. I am not the body, I am the awareness principle, which is aware of the body. There is no pramana or a logic to prove that I am the body, but I accept in ignorance that I am the body. Vedas, they prove logically, especially Mandukya Upanishad, it proves logically. Sometimes I can't accept because there is an obstacle which is very powerful. That is called as the Deha Abhimana. This Deha Abhimana is where what we have to learn to drop. Because of this identification with the body, we have problems. We identify with the problems and say these problems are real. I'm not denying that the problems are real from the body angle, from the waking state angle. Only when I learn to drop these identifications and go to the Turiya Atma, I will know how to face the life. Then we learn by step to drop the waking, drop the dream, drop the sleep, and then go to the fourth pada. Then we learn to remain in our real, true nature. In the seventh mantra, we will see how this Turiyam is defined. How my real nature. We will take it up next week. Next week, we will go through some of the Panchadesi mantras which I have put here. Just we'll run through them just to get an idea before we go to the seventh mantra, which is the final mantra, where we learn the real nature of ourselves. So far, we have seen waking state, dream state, sleep state. Sleep state, we have gone into a very big depth. And the conclusion is Ishvara is the ultimate jagat karana. At the level, that is where we have stopped. From this point, we have to rise to another big level. Beyond Ishvara, beyond this Jiva, is there anything? Upanishad tells us, yes, that is your real nature, which is never affected by anything which happens in the three states of consciousness. A beautiful section will come next week. In the meantime, we learn. I'll close this section now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. If you have any questions on today's session, you can ask them now, or you can put them in the chat box. So we will unmute everybody, and then you can unmute yourself and ask a question if you have anything. Yeah, Ram Kumar, you have any question?
No, I don't have any questions. I've got to attend another meeting.
Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah, anybody else has any other question for today's session?
So I just wanted to ask one question. This is regarding the pure consciousness, which is Brahman, in the state of creation, in the unmanifested state of creation, is called Ishvara.
Yes.
That's what you said.
Absolutely. The unmanifest condition of the whole creation is called as Ishvara.
Ishvara.
So in that Ishvara is the controller of the whole universe, which means my waking state is coming from him, from that Ishvara.
Which is Maya.
Which is Maya, which we call it Maya, which we call it as avidya, we call it ignorance, we call it, all this is all the names given to one power. There is a power.
So why is it called unmanifested? I just wonder, because creation is manifested state of consciousness.
It's called unmanifest because we all experience the unmanifest condition also in our sleep state. See, in our sleep state.
But in the waking state?
No, waking state is manifest.
Manifest.
Yes.
Unmanifested is.
When I say unmanifest, means that the whole world which I am now seeing through my sense organs, the forms of the world are seen, the sounds are heard, but all that comes back into an undifferentiated condition.
This is the dreamer state, dreamer's world.
This is not the dreamer's world. This
Prajna.
is the entire waking and dream.
Waking and dream.
Yes, both of them, they come into this unmanifest condition.
of the consciousness, which is
you see, don't we have to all analyze from my own point of view. I am a living being. I am a conscious being. I'm trying to understand this consciousness. From this consciousness, which is in this body, I'm trying to understand what the world is. Don't look at the world from other bodies. Other bodies are having their own waking state. They are having their own dream state. They are in their own sleep state.
So I, the Jiva,
yes,
is experiencing this waking world and the dream world.
Yes, and I also face the sleep world. You see,
and the consciousness, the consciousness and Jiva and this Ishvara. How do we connect this?
Yes, you see, we connect this Ishvara only at the sleep state.
Only at the sleep state.
Yes, there is a real connection at the sleep state, which is easy to do. In the waking state, if I want to connect to Ishvara, it is possible. It is not Ishvara. It is called as Virat.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that the consciousness in the sleep state is the Ishvara, and in the waking, when we wake up, what happens to Ishvara then?
See, okay. Let's start. No, let us start from the pure consciousness level.
Pure consciousness.
Okay? Let's not start from the waking state.
Yes.
We are the pure Brahman.
Pure Brahman.
I am pure Brahman. I don't have any world with me.
Yes.
There is no world. There is no Jiva. There is no Ishvara. I am pure consciousness.
Pure consciousness.
I am Turiyam.
Turiyam.
Okay. So this is our starting point. What happens to this pure consciousness? It wakes up. It identifies with the mind. When it identifies with one mind in a waking form, it becomes the Vishwa, the waker I. This waker I is experiencing a world which is called as Virat.
Yeah.
So the Ishvara is experienced in the waking or not? It is experienced as Virat, as a gross physical form of Ishvara. The Vishwa, the name of Deepak is given to the body, gross body. Without this gross body, I am Brahman, I am pure. So from that pure consciousness, awareness, Turiyam, I become Deepak. As soon as my mind wakes up in the morning and I see this body. And then through this body,
I experience
sense organ, I experience
the world.
The world which is a physical world.
Physical world, which is called Virat.
Which is called as Virat. Virat is the name of Ishvara in the waking state.
Okay, understood. So in the waking state, Virat is Ishvara.
Virat is Ishvara.
Then what happens? State, Hiranbhagya is
yes.
Ishvara.
Then
in the sleep state, to become the unmanifested part of that consciousness, the pure Ishvara.
Yes, now you got it 100%.
Yeah, understood. Actually, this word Ishvara became a bit confusing in the end. That's why I was trying to sort of see
now you got
how does it fit in.
Yes, it is the same Ishvara. In the physical world, it is called as Virat. In the dream state, it is called as Hiranyagarbha. In the sleep state, it is called as Ishvara. The same in Jiva. In the waking state, it is called as Vishwa. In the dream state, it is called as Taijasa. In the sleep state, it is called as Prajna. When I am not identified with any of these conditionings, even in the waking state, I can say I am pure Brahman. Drop the conditioning. Just sit quietly and say, I am Brahman, I am pure consciousness, I am awareness principle here and now. This experience, this experiment has to be done individually. Each one of us has to do this experiment. There is no use listening to the scriptures if you don't apply to yourself. You may learn hundreds, you can listen to hundreds of talks, but you must apply it and see that what the Upanishad is saying is true. You must get convinced. It's an experiment. Each one of us must experiment himself or herself and say, am I this Brahman which the Upanishad is saying? Is that my real nature? If I can convince myself that that is my real nature, that's the end of the whole study. This pure consciousness, awareness can be realized here and now. Here means I remove this. Here means I remove the spatial limitation of the body. The body is limited. I drop the body's limitation. Body is here. Mind is a limitation of time. Here and now. Now means I remove my mind. The moment I drop the mind's identification, the time element goes away. When I drop the body identification, the place goes away. When I drop the mind, time goes away. When the place and the space and time goes away, and pure consciousness here and now. Very easy. It's the moment you have understood it, you have practiced it in a couple of meditation sessions. During this whole Mandukya Upanishad, we'll be doing the same meditation. So
when I the Jiva experience, I the Vishwa experience Virat,
yes,
it is the mind that is experiencing.
Exactly. It is the mind, it is not me. It is not me, the pure consciousness.
And the mind and what about the mind, the body equipment?
Yeah.
And the mind experiences it with the instruments of the body.
Exactly. The mind experiences with the instrument body. The body is an idea, a thought in the mind. This mind goes to sleep. There is no thought of the mind. There is no idea of the body. That is why we say the body exists in the mind and the world exists in the mind.
Yes,
so sleep,
very, very nicely said. World exists in the mind.
Body exists in the mind, the world exists in the mind. And the mind, what happens? It goes into unmanifest condition. And in the unmanifest condition,
it arises from there only.
Yes, that is the real point. Once you have understood that Ishvara, Antaryami, is the ultimate unmanifest condition of the whole universe, then it is easy for us to understand I am that pure consciousness beyond this Ishvara also. Ishvara, Jiva, these are all anatma. Jiva, jagat, Ishvara is anatma. Atma is Brahman.
Non-self.
Yes. This is the way to understand Mandukya Upanishad. Once you have understand the methodology, then everything, all other things are all easy. Does it answer your question? You have put some question in the mind, in the.
It answers my question. Thank you.
It answers, right?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, good. Anybody else has any other question? Yeah, Bhai.
What I am confused is how a dream comes in our body.
Yeah, dream is nothing but it is a condition of the mind when it tries to have experience of whatever we have not been able to experience fully in the waking state. Suppose you have in the waking state, there are some things which you wanted and you are not been able to achieve it. Those in the dream, what happens is, suppose you wanted to get married and you wanted to get remarried or what, then in the dream it gets released. You can get married. You can do anything. So dream is just a condition of a mind in without the sense organs. You see, there is no sense, or that means we don't use our normal sense organs in dream. So it is a condition of a mind only. And the dreams are caused by the impressions which are there in the mind. This is another level of our experience. That's all. See, we have waking as an experience. We have a dream as an experience. We have sleep as an experience. There are three different levels. In each level, there is an ignorance about myself. That ignorance means it is a covering. It is veiling. This veiling is basically Maya. Maya Shakti, which is there in this body and in the universe, it gives me the three experiences in three different states. So, to answer simply your question, Baba, is dreams are another condition of the mind. That's all. Don't take the mind's condition seriously. Just learn to drop it. That's all.
Actually, the dream has nothing to do with our life, is it?
With what?
With our daily life or whatever.
No, it could be. It could be because many times we dream about things of the waking world only. You see, whatever we have seen in the waking world, again it comes in the dream. I see my son again. I see my grandchildren again. I may see my wife again. So all this is possible in dream.
Is it not that, people say when you eat too much of food before sleep or what?
No. See, the dreams can be caused by too much of food. It can. There are many conditions why a dream can come. There are hundreds of conditions. But the basic condition is it comes. That's all. You see, we cannot say that this is the only factor. If I don't eat well, if I eat less, I won't get a dream. This is one of the factors. It is not the only factor.
So that means, sometimes we cannot interpret our dream also. What we dreamed last night, we cannot interpret.
We see the mind automatically has ability to drop the dream completely as unreal. See, it came, it went. That's all. So the mind never thinks back again of the dream. Just learn to forget it. That's all. Each one of us dreams. You see, we all dream. And we all forget the dream. See, if I ask you today, what did you dream when you were 5-year-old? You won't remember now.
Yeah, you must say 5 years. Even yesterday, what I dreamed, I cannot remember.
Yeah, I cannot remember. So ignorance is this remembrance and forgetting. These are all the function of the mind. Some people, they are able to remember the dream very well. They will come and tell you, I dreamt this. They will talk for 3 hours on one dream. So it is a question of what quality of mind you have, what memory power you have, and all that. So, but anyway, the ultimate thing is don't dwell about a dream. Learn to drop the dream. Drop the dream, it came, it went. Forget about it. That's all. Now you look at the waking state and see what you can do in the waking state.
Is it caused by Maya?
It is Maya. Ultimately, mind is Maya. You see, whether mind is in waking state or mind is in dream state, it is called as Maya. It is a Shakti. It is a Shakti in this body. That's all. I am not that Shakti belongs to Ishvara. I surrender all this to Ishvara. I surrender the physical body, the mind, the world, everything. I say, this is Lord, this is yours. I want to just surrender to you. I leave it to you. I merge with you. Okay. Anybody else has a question?
So I had a question. Good evening.
Yeah, Ramesh.
So this is a question which I had asked earlier also.
Yeah.
While we understand that the true and the realized state is the sleep state or the Ishvara that we are in, which is in reality is what we are, the Brahman or the Turiyam or what we are.
Yeah.
But when we come to the wake-ups, when we are in the waking state, certain things in life happens which is of course quite upsetting, which is not, while it is not unreal, but it's so much real that it determines your entire life. It puts you in a state of anger, depression, or whatever.
Yeah.
So how does one, while understanding that you are the state of Brahman, how do we handle this state, which while being unrealistic is so much real that a majority of our time is spent being awake?
Okay, good question. A very, very good question. A very, very practical question. See, one thing we should understand is when we are in waking, we have to understand and we lead a life as if it is real. Yes. Don't try to think in the waking state it is unreal and all that. That's not the right method of living. In the waking state, do your best. Whatever you have to do, you do. You have to take care of your family. You have to take care of the body. You have to take care of your, all the surroundings. Do your duty. So don't confuse while doing the duty, like in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord Krishna says, do your duty and surrender to me. There is a higher principle which is controlling this entire body, mind, and the world. Right. So in the waking state, I don't try to analyze I am Brahman and things like that. Only in meditation you can do it. Okay. When you are living, when you are practically handling the world, you handle the world as if you are a Jiva trying to fulfill his duty in the waking state. Okay. Don't get confused about the Jiva in the real state. In the real state, yes. But that knowledge will help you to do your duty well. That knowledge will help you to have an inner space in you. What happens is when you do meditation, when you learn the Veda, you have an inner space between the Sakshi, I, and the Jiva, which is engaged in the world. Right. This space, inner space, helps you to lead a good life, to lead the life in the best possible way in that particular circumstances. Correct. You see, your circumstances may be very different than my circumstances, very different from Deepak's circumstances. Each Jiva has a different circumstance. Correct. According to the prarabdha of the body and the mind. Got it. In the waking state, the prarabdha is fully active. The prarabdha karma phalam is 100% active. Correct.
So what's
all our experiences in the waking state are due to this prarabdha karma. Yeah. I have a lot of happy experiences. I have a lot of disturbing experiences, angry experiences, so many different types of experiences that I am disturbed. So don't feel guilty that, I have become angry. And don't, so in our daily vyavaharika level, the only thing I have to follow is do your duty. 100% follow what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. While in Vyavahara, 100% follow that I am a Jiva, I am doing my duty. Beyond that, I leave everything to Ishvara.
Or I'm not
Surrender.
attached to the outcomes of my actions.
Yes.
And I'm not the doer.
I am not the doer. I
Okay.
am doing karma yoga. All this comes into play. See, don't
But
forget
this is-
that you have learned the Bhagavad Gita also.
But this is Shekharji, this is also in the part, this aspect of understanding is in duality. But I find that duality also is an important learning for us to be in this non-dual space eventually.
Yes.
This awareness is in non-dual.
Yes.
This parab is in dual. And therefore there is constant understanding that in duality, I'm not the doer and I have to be unattached to the outcome of my action. And that's where this Gita comes into play and other scriptures come into play. But Vedanta actually doesn't talk about all this. Vedanta says purely by just sheer awareness of my understanding that I am beyond the mind-body, or mind-body are mere objects of my experience. What you said in the meditation, you drop off this thing.
Yes.
You
So
drop off this.
We are all at different stages in our mental development.
Yes,
our
yes.
mind, we are all.
I'm just trying to sort of.
So Ramesh, have I answered your question?
Yes, I've got it, sir. I understood that.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Anybody else has any other question? If there are no questions, we'll close for the day and then we'll start next week with some of the mantras of the Panchadasi, which I will start with. And then we'll go to the 7th mantra of Mandukya Upanishad. And that's all for the day. Good night to you and see you all next week. Hari Om.
Good night, sir. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepak ji, for supplementing.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm only saying what Shekharji says. But
No, it's all a part of it.
we learn from each other. Most
Absolutely.
importantly, all these questions only clarifies your own
It opens up your pores.
understanding.
Absolutely.
More importantly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shekharji. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you, Rameshji.
Thank you.